Wow, is that gonna blind me?
No,
Are you sure?
yeah, it shouldn't.
How do you turn it on? How do you do it? Whoa! Oh, I see. Falcon bitch. I love that.
Oh,
There we go. Hey!
hey, there he is.
I got my Zoom.
We'll go ahead and jump right into it. EELS' second full-length album comes out at the end of September, which Pitch Perfect has described as a collection of Technicolor incantations and also genuinely unpredictable. We're hoping you could tell us a little bit more about how the album came together.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
you're on the big screen now.
you can have there. You can toggle between the different modes. Are you on your phone?
I'm on my laptop here.
There's a couple different modes. He's learning Zoom. The question again, I forgot. We were doing a lot of deep sea fishing and fishing in rivers in North America and in Europe, and we were running into a lot of these long, kind of looking like snakes, but they're like long, and they were in the water and stuff, and they were like slick. And we caught a bunch of them and learned later that they were called eels. So that was kind of the inspiration for the music. I think it took so long for us to get our first album out that we were just pretty ready to get the second album going. And we had
Yes.
songs on deck ready to go. So we were pretty ready for that. And I think that combined with the fishing was just like, boom, we knocked it out.
Now, were you, before you decided to title it EELS, were you calling it long, scaly, fishy things that you found in rivers? Was that the tentative title before EELS came to be?
Yeah, it was pretty long. We were texting like it was like a long paragraph where we'd be like the slicks, things that are hard to grab that get through the hands sometimes.
And I'm sure that ran into all sorts of problems from censorship and who knows what else.
A lot of problems. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Well, on the 20th, they'll release your third single, Night Vision, with one more scheduled for next week on the 10th. Do you think fans will be disappointed to find out that the other 12 tracks on the album are all Oingo Boingo covers?
I think it's on brand for us. We have a really strong group of fans that know like they're kind of ride or die, and this
Mhm.
is the ultimate test. So if they are disappointed, then they're not true fans. That's the way that we see it, I think.
And the thing is, like, true. And also, like, I think you're gonna like that every single one is the same cover of Dead Man's Party. Like, it's a little confusing. We'll start off doing another song, and then it always goes back into Dead Man's
But yeah,
Party.
there's a weird little 4 count in between right after, like, you'll start just a lad, and then boom, Dead Man's Party starts up again. It's ridiculous.
It's like we have amnesia.
I forgot what song we were playing halfway through the recording. Let's go with this one.
Yeah, it's kind of that one's kind of our anchor.
Going a little bit further back, you've been described as a true blue freak bitch besties. Now, do you agree with this title or this moniker, or do you think that you've progressed to a more gremlin-esque form as time has passed?
Mm. Um, I know that we've gotten more gritty and gross with this album, but then we came out slit and like oiled up, more like bodybuilders.
It's like the first album was like, oh, we're just like true blue best friend bitches or whatever, and then this one, we definitely are a little more gremlin-esque because it's like the first one is like, oh, like they're nice people, and this one is more of a like, oh, they're like mean, like kind of cat, like we're more catty, I think, in this one. We're
Oh yeah.
talking shit about
A
a lot
little
of,
more, a little more villainous, this one.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely being like passive aggressive and like we're gaslighting and we're like really toxic on this one.
I would
More,
say, yeah, this no one's safe on this one.
more gaslighting than girl bossing or gatekeeping on this one. It's a lot more gaslighting, yeah.
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 going into this album, a little bit more about how it got put together. Y'all worked with John Congleton to have this album put together. He produced the majority of it. Is it true that you told them that you were actually Mannequin Pussy, so he produced your album? And follow up to that, what do you have to say in response to rumors that you kidnapped him and held him hostage until when he realized who you actually were?
Oh yeah, that was a big
Done your research.
mistake. Yeah. That was a pretty big mix up for us with the
That was a managerial thing. That wasn't really our fault. And then we had gotten so deep into it, like it was maybe like day 5 in the recording session when he was like, he mentioned the word Mannequin, like the band name Mannequin Pussy, and we were like,
oh,
wait,
that's not
what? That's not what's going on here. And he was like, oh, what? And then we kind of had, and then he started calling he reached for his phone to call the cops, and we had to kind of slap it out of his hands because we already had, like, the album was pretty much like 3/4 of the way done. And it just got out of hand, but I think at the end of the day, no one got too hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that he'll probably say some things that sound sensational and sound like we were being, like, I don't know, abusive, but I think it's more like we were just guiding his hands to finish the record. Like, there was no...
Certainly, but...
Yeah.
I think, like, anything that he says really... If for us, it always comes back to, like, oh, well, that's John's story, you know? So, like, you can't trust him. And that's kind of in the industry, is everybody's, oh, yeah, John.
That's LA for you. I mean,
yeah,
that's
for real.
Classic LA. Like, you can't trust these snakes.
It's all hearsay. You can't trust the snakes. You can't trust the long, wet, aquatic ones either. Pivoting a little bit further down, I'd love to ask you a little bit more about your approach to songwriting. Are you more of a sit down and write it all out, or is it more of a that the songwriting gods take it from here kind of approach?
We're really into sheet music. We're kind of like Beethoven. Like we can't hear very well anymore because we played so loudly rock and roll music.
So we're just kind of, when we get into the studio, we don't have the songs written, they're improvised, what you're hearing on the record is improvised, but it's just the two of us, we get 2 pianos and we place them next to each other, and we just...
It's bang time.
Thrashing around. It's pretty raw. This time, John Congleton had a harpsichord, so we got to do that with the harpsichord too.
Yeah.
Oh, that was on the harpsichord on Love Machine, right?
That's right.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Speaking of Love Machine, I'd love to ask a little bit more about how Love Machine came together and a little bit more about Rock and Roll Hurts, specifically how much rock and roll really hurts.
Yeah, that one's a tough one because it's a hurt that's in the gut.
Love hurt relationship, but kind of like Love Machine too.
I was thinking it's more like when you poison your lover with like arsenic or whatever you want to use, or you don't have to poison them a lot. You just poison them a little bit.
It's enough to make it hurt.
Weak enough to not get away.
Weak.
And that's how you got
there for you,
John
baby.
to produce the album.
We were not forcing his hand. We were just keeping him in one place.
Mildly
You
sedated.
want another coffee? That's what we kept saying to him, and then he would drink it, and he would zone out for a while, and we would just kind of fuck with all his like levers on his like compressors and shit, and
we do our thrashing.
And then we play piano. Then whenever he woke up, we'd be like, "All right, is it done yet?"
And he'd ask, "Who are you people?" "Oh, have some more coffee, John."
And we'd be like, "Mannequin pussy, mannequin pussy, mannequin pussy."
Yeah. Kind of going a little bit further back once again, in August of last year, you told The Alternative that some of your hobbies included racing your pet worms, experimenting in nuclear physics, and good old-fashioned American legacy muscle cars. Now, have you all developed a way to combine all of these activities into one super hobby?
Well, I wanted to talk about our new kind of our new, I can't think of the word, but we've been working on a new renewable energy source for American muscle cars, American legacy muscle cars. So pretty much nothing past 1976 would run on this fuel, because there's a different sort of transistor in the cars that they started implementing past that time. But it's essentially worm power, and it's we can't say too much about it, but it does include nuclear physics as well, just the science behind it.
There is a lot of science. I think the problem we're having right now is sifting the worms from the earth. So it's more like we're trying to, and that requires a lot of physics too, but worms are similar because they are long, they wiggle too, and they're similar to eels, and we did a lot of research on eels, but they're different because they are terrestrial. So we're having a lot of trouble with the dirt. So we've kind of been getting into substrate testing and digging. We've been digging. That's our hobby right now is digging really big holes.
Now, is that a hobby by choice, or is that a hobby by necessity for research purposes?
I don't know the difference.
Fair enough. If you love what you do, it's never work.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of getting back on track, I'd love to ask you about the album's intro track, Godzilla Rises. It's easily my favorite on the album, which if you can get somebody to love the first song on the album, I think you're already off to a great start. And this is the second album. I would hoping you could run me a little bit through the creative process for the song, and what steps did you take to put yourself into the mindset of a Godzilla chaser?
Yeah, that song, we were working on that song for quite a while. Just didn't know how to put it all together, and then somewhere down the line we decided it's Godzilla.
That's an old one.
Yeah, that's like whenever we first moved in together. I feel like we came up with that like pretty soon, and just kind of sat on it. We didn't know the direction, and then Godzilla got into our mindsets, and I couldn't stop it. Actually, we wanted to write it for our other side project for 0% APR. Wanted to be a song for that, and I showed it to Falcon, and she said, "No, this song is too good for that. We gotta figure it out for being dead." And I was like, "All right." So, yeah, it just took a long time to get that one.
Yeah.
But the concept is so strong that once we found the concept, it was right. It was right.
And it has certainly paid off. That song is just amazing. I can't wait for everybody else to hear it. Now, looking ahead, once the album comes out, you just played 2 pre-release shows here over the summer. Looking ahead, you've got a release show at Radio East in Austin on release day. After that, the Eels on Wheels tour really kicks up in October. What's next for Being Dead, and how much of your plan for world domination are you legally allowed to share with us today?
Well, lots of tours happening.
Yeah.
We're also doing a we're doing a couple car tours, and a couple conventions for the renewable energy source. We're kind of doing some TED Talk stuff with that, and developing. We're still in R&D, of course, but we got album 3 coming.
Yeah, I would say it's time to start
Cooking.
Start really locking down album 3 here.
Yeah. And that one might be about worms.
We'll see. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe it'll be about nuclear worms. We won't know for sure. We understand if you're not allowed to share with us just yet. That's everything I really had for you today. I've got one more question for you. It's probably the hardest thing I asked all of my guests on the show. And that's, what are you guys listening to right now?
Let me think of what I was listening to.
I've been listening to The Clean.
I've
been listening to Honk.
Honk, nice.
Deer Hoof always.
The last the last song I was listening to was a fall song. So the fall.
Oh,
The Gilmore Girls theme song, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Gilmore Girls. Yep. Let's see. Oh, I was listening to the latest The Infinites album because I hadn't heard
Oh,
that.
the new one.
Yeah,
We listened to that one on tour.
it has some great moments. Of course, we're always listening to etc. Album Stardust is absolutely perfect. I was trying to get into another System of a Down phase. I think I'll give that another.
Hmm.
Every few years you gotta do one straight month of System of a Down.
Of course. It's got to be Toxicity for most of September for me.
Oh yeah.
Well, fantastic, guys. Well, once again, that's all I had for you. Short and sweet. We try not to throw too much crazy shit at you, but we really appreciate you coming on once again. On behalf of myself and Tonitruale, thank you so much again. Being Dead, EELS out September 27th. Thanks so much, guys.
Rob,
Alright,
thank
thank
you.
you.
You're a darling.